Hello and welcome. If you're new here, hello, my name is Chris Hughes. We're going to talk about how to eliminate brain fog today, so long as Zoom cooperates, which it has been struggling lately. So I'm going to record this. You're going to see this. This is also being live streamed to the Facebook group. So if you are on YouTube and you're seeing this and you're not part of the Facebook group, man, that's where you're going to get a lot of love and support. That's where you're going to get a lot of the a guidance and where I can truly help you. So if you're not part of the Facebook group, what are you doing? Do you actually care about your health? Prove it. Join the Facebook group. Cool. So yeah, I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to bring up the slides, and as long as Zoom cooperates, if not, then you're just going to see a talking face rather than slides. But regardless, I can still talk about this. Man, God, Zoom is just crap in the bed. Oh, look, not responding again. Hey, cool. All right, I'm so sorry that this is not up to snuff. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why my computer is truly struggling just to do this. I have no other applications open. I don't have any of the I don't have anything open, and it is just not. Oh God, I love this. Okay, share. Man, see, I don't. I don't know what's going on. Super big pain in the ass. I've clicked share like 10 times and it's just not doing it. It's not sharing. Oh, here we go. You doing it? You gonna do it for me? Come on, where's my face? It's gonna show up soon. There we go. Now I can't promise it's gonna continue to work properly, but I'm gonna hopefully work with what I got. Okay, so how to deal with brain fog. We're going to talk about a few different things. First off, do you ever like suddenly feel a drop in like mental clarity and energy? Do you feel that afternoon crash or like a sudden need for a nap suddenly, just like early afternoon? Or do you have moments where just suddenly like remembering small things becomes oddly difficult? Struggling to hold focus, struggling to maintain your attention towards the tasks that you know need to get done, or just a general feeling of slowness, sluggishness, or lethargic, or just randomly irritable out of nowhere. Like you find yourself getting short and snappy with people, or like you're just more moody than you usually are. A lot of that can come from brain fog. Um, so what is it? There's two definitions, and obviously there's the cause, right? So two definitions are a noticeable reduction in mental clarity or a noticeable drop in overall energy. And then number three, it's caused by a low grade inflammation in the brain. A lot of people, inflammation's been this big, huge thing in the past couple of years about like anti-inflammatory this, anti-inflammatory that, inflammation bad, inflammation horrible for you. And that's not actually true. Inflammation itself is actually a very good thing. It's actually going to signal. All inflammation is going to signal the body to respond in a certain way, right? When you exercise, you cause inflammation, but that inflammation signal is going, "Hey, we're under a lot of stress. We need to adapt to that stress so that we can improve and grow and build muscle, speed up the metabolism, get stronger, whatever it is, right?" Inflammation is not always a bad thing. Inflammation, when you break a joint in that joint, or like break a finger or break your arm, whatever, and the swelling happens, that swelling, that inflammation is literally your body going, "Hey, repair, send blood here. We need blood to be here right now so we can heal and repair and adapt." So inflammation isn't always a bad thing. It's chronic systemic inflammation that ends up being a bad thing. And that's where low grade inflammation builds up in the brain. And that's what can cause that's one of the main causes of brain fog. It's actually the cause of brain fog. Like brain fog is low grade inflammation in the brain. That's just like clogging some of the circuitry in the brain. And there are seven major contributors. There's more than just seven reasons why somebody can get brain fog or why inflammation could build up, but there's seven main ones, and there's a few other ones that I would classify as primary contributors. However, I talk about those things a lot. So I'm actually like, I've already done dozens of videos on those topics and we'll get there. So right now we're just going to talk about the seven ones aside from the ones that I already talked about. Some of them are going to be similar, but there's some major ones that I don't. So what is it? What are the seven major contributors? Number one, adenosine. So adenosine is basically 1/4 of the building blocks required for RNA, which is responsible for all life in the universe as we know it. You have something called ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. And basically, what ATP is, it's the energy currency within your body. When you do tasks, when you blink, when your heart beats, when your lungs expand and relax and contract, when you're thinking, when you're breathing, when you just like tap your finger, everything you do uses ATP. And the more you use ATP, adenosine, basically the adenosine triphosphate, so adenosine and then triphosphate. So essentially, what ends up happening is as you're doing activity, physical activity in particular, your adenosine breaks off, and basically your adenosine goes to your brain, and your triphosphate, phosphorus, whatever, goes to your muscle to go and do to help perform a task it's meant to do. So adenosine travels to the brain and phosphate goes to the tissues. Adenosine basically goes to the brain and kind of promotes blood flow with nutrients and anti-inflammatories. So what ends up happening is as more adenosine builds up in the brain, it actually helps promote flushing out that brain fog, really flushing out that inflammation. And it also builds up something called sleep pressure. Basically, most people have experienced this. You've had a long day where you just did so much in that day where you're just exhausted and you sleep like a baby. And that's the reason. It's like you sleep like a rock. And that's the reason, because you built up adenosine, and that's basically triggering your brain to go, hey, you need to sleep well. You need a good night's sleep. Here you go. Right. And it's kind of the idea of just earning your quality sleep. And that's why in the first phase of my program, it's called the earn it phase. And sleep is a huge component of that. And one of the things that we do is we help reduce brain fog. We help we help build that adenosine throughout the day so that you can get a better night's sleep. That's why I'm a very big fan of getting movement in early in your day. The sooner you get your movement started in the day, the sooner you're going to start building up that adenosine, and the more you're going to be able to actually have a good night's sleep. This is why one of the biggest habits I highly recommend all of my clients do, but also you guys, you awesome super moms in the group. The reason why I talk about this so much is because when you wake up, your body craves three things, right? Movement, water, and sunlight. So one of the best things you could do to have to start your day is get up, drink a glass of water, and just take a 5-minute walk. Get that adenosine built up, started early, especially if you have a very sedentary job. Like if you have an office job, what's going to end up happening is you're going to basically spend 8 hours of your day not moving at all. And so adenosine never has an opportunity to build up. And that's a lot of the reasons why you get back from lunch, you sit down, and boom, you just get crushed by all this like low grade inflammation. You get this brain fog. You have a very hard time actually doing anything in your days because we've built up so little adenosine. You have very little energy, very little focus, and you can't focus, and you feel like you want to take a nap on your keyboard or on your desk or whatever. That's why I highly recommend that the earlier you can start getting active in your day, the more that's when you start really building up the ability to have a really good night's sleep. So earn your rest by just being active. You don't even have to do a workout. You just be active, get up and move around as frequently as possible. This is why I'm a big proponent of taking your 5-minute walks after a meal, stuff like that. And then obviously going to the gym is going to be a huge proponent of this as well, or just not just to the gym, but like getting a workout in is going to be a huge proponent of this as well. You're allowing you to build up that adenosine in your brain to help flush out inflammation. Next, carbohydrates. Excess blood sugar. We already know this. Excess blood sugar can lead to inflammation. Carbs also fuel exercise. And if you think of carbs like gas for your car, that drives performance, right? Performance in all areas, because we know that carbohydrates are your brain and body's primary source of fuel, preferred source of fuel. But if we think about it like gas for your car, excess carbohydrates or excess gas spills out of the muscle and into the bloodstream, or out of your gas and onto the concrete, right? Spilled gas isn't good, right? We know this. It can cause a really big problem. Spilled blood glucose ain't great either, to just sit there in the blood, and it causes a lot of problems, right? And so the more activity, the less excess blood sugar occurs, because it's being used and shuttled into muscle for proper use. Plus more adenosine, like I talked about, right? So the more active you are, the less blood sugar you'll have, and the better storage you'll have with glucose in general. And then yeah, so this is also why I'm highly recommend you start your day with a lower carb, high protein, and higher fat and fiber meal, unless you're going to do a workout. But I like to start the day with a low carb, high protein, high fat, high fiber, simply because you're not going to get that blood sugar rise and then crash later in the day. However, if you're going to do a workout, then obviously you need fuel for that, and that will counteract any of that sort of afternoon blood sugar rise and crash, right? So start the day with low carb, high protein, high fat, and high fiber meal. Unless you're going to do a workout, then make sure you have carbohydrates at that meal as well. And never eat naked carbs, right? Try to make sure every time you sit down and have any sort of carbohydrate, make sure you're always eating one. Try to eat them last in the meal because that means you're prioritizing protein, fat, and fiber anyway. But that's also going to protein, fat, and fiber. All three of those do a really good job at slowing down the absorption of other nutrients, right? So if you have carbohydrates in your meal and you have protein, fat, and fiber first, and then your rice or potato or whatever it is, what you're going to have is you're going to have a much less of a drastic spike and therefore much drastic of a drop. Rather than it going up and then crashing down, you get that afternoon crash. Now what's going to happen is you're going to have a slow, steady release and then a nice, calm back to baseline. And that's why making sure that you have fat and fiber and protein at every meal is always going to be ideal, because you're going to reduce the likelihood of getting that blood sugar spike and crash, causing that brain fog, brain fog. And yeah, so that's why I'm a really big fan of having that meal structure. Moving on, exercise. I mean, this everyone knew this is going to be here, right? But it's specifically strength training. And I'm going to talk about something else in a second as well. But building off the last two, more muscle means more glycogen storage, right? So, which means you have less sugar circulating in the blood, which means you have less inflammation and less brain fog. You're going to have you're going to release endorphins in the brain that'll help improve mental clarity, focus, and energy, which is going to directly counteract the effects of brain fog. It improves resiliency to stress and improves cortisol management, which can also cause inflammation in the brain, having just excess levels of cortisol. It also speeds up the metabolism, which means you're just going to burn more fat on autopilot with less overall effort. And who doesn't want that, right? And I mean, there are a million benefits to strength training, but these are the important ones in relation to brain fog. And why this is so big is just due to the fact that when you have more muscle, you have more blood sugar storage, right? Think of muscle as like storage containers, right? And your body wants to store blood glucose or blood sugar into those storage containers, into your muscle mass, into your muscle cells, so that they can be used to fuel activity. But if you don't have a lot of muscle, or you're just very inactive, then your body has no storage, doesn't have enough storage containers to fit all that blood sugar in. And so it has nowhere else to go but in the bloodstream. And that's where it can cause problems. That's where you get inflammation in the brain. By the way, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. These are all now being classified under the umbrella of type 3 diabetes. And we know type 1 and 2 diabetes comes from blood sugar, right? Blood sugar control, blood sugar management. We know that those play a really big role. So now we're talking about, when we're talking about brain fog and actually reducing the inflammation in the brain, now we're talking about preventative, right? We're doing preventative work to make sure that we're not going to develop, or we're severely reducing the likelihood of developing things like Alzheimer's, which we know is one of the top 5 killers in the world. We know how deadly this is. We know how awful this is, not just to their physical body, but to their family, to everyone around them. We see, man, like when you walk into a room and your own mom forgets who you are, or still thinks you're 12 when in reality you're like 40, right? Like these heartbreaking moments of just like your own family forgetting who you are, like that's rough. That's awful. And so reducing inflammation in the brain is going to be critical to helping combat the effects of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and dementia. Now I want to talk about something called exercise snacks. So not everyone can follow through. Like the Facebook group is literally called Fat Loss Secrets for Stressed Out Busybodies, right? You're busy. You're moms. Like, of course you have limited time. Not everyone can follow through with 60 minutes, but what about 5? I guarantee you everyone has 5 minutes somewhere in the day. 5 minutes first thing in the morning before you have your cup of coffee. While your cup of coffee is brewing, do a 5-minute workout, right? This is something that I've been working on a lot with my one-on-one clients. Things like 5, 10, or 15 minutes on the clock. You get 2 to 4 exercises, 10 reps each, and just do as many reps as possible, as many rounds as possible in that 5, 10, 15 minutes. We know that 1 minute of continuous moderate intensity or higher exercise is enough to drop cortisol, funnel blood sugar into the muscles, reduce inflammation, and release the endorphins and give a great little energy boost. You're going to wake up, right? And this is one of those things where it's like when you wake up or you get home from work or you're on a lunch break at work or just when you have 5 minutes between tasks, everyone can find 5 minutes somewhere. Everyone can find 5 minutes somewhere in their day. So if that's all you got, then that's all you got. But if that's all you can commit to, then do it. Like 5 minutes is great. If you've heard, like I literally have a video talking about the 5 minute rule, how it's powerful, just 5 minutes a day of engaging in the activity that you want to commit to is such a powerful way to improve, to change your identity, to really change who you are, to radically change your mindset and actually be able to follow through on who you want to be. You say you want to be this person, but your actions show me otherwise. This is how you start prioritizing. Is 5 minutes going to be enough to give you mind-blowing results? No, probably not. But is it better than zero? Yes. By definition, is literally infinitely better than zero. We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to be better than what we were. And 5 minutes is all I got. And hey, if you got 5 minutes now, take 5 minutes later in your day. If you've got 5 minutes when you wake up, amazing. 5 minutes between you getting to work and having to work, do another exercise snack. When you get home from work, you got 5 minutes. Do that, then go cook dinner, right? Or like after dinner, do a quick little 5 minute workout. Again, you're going to funnel blood sugar from the meal. Now you're going to calm that down. Like that's an incredibly powerful way to just commit to exercise. We know that if I want to be healthy, I have to move my body. We know moving our body is one of the most important things for health and longevity and weight loss and muscle gain, metabolism boosting, and all facets of health require some sort of exercise, right? So let's start committing to that. Let's just start like, how do I become a person who exercises even just 5 minutes a day? And that's all we're doing. That's why I really like the concept of exercise snacks, really helps with it. I have a full exercise snack guide to help walk you through what that can look like for you. So if you want that, comment down below and I'll make sure to fire that your way. Moving on, ODA, or your overall daily activity, right? You're promoting blood flow, reducing inflammation. It reduces cortisol and your stress hormone and promotes relaxation, and more inflammation is now being funneled out. It also helps, again, promote more adenosine buildup in the brain, like we were talking about before. And walking just 10 minutes after a meal has been shown to be twice as effective than metformin for controlling blood sugar. Metformin is a drug given to type 2 diabetes patients or people who suffer from type 2 diabetes to help make them more insulin sensitive. Walking after a meal, just 10 minutes, 5 minutes out the door, 5 minutes back. That's it. That's all it takes to start to improve digestion, improve your blood sugar control, improve your insulin sensitivity, reduce gassing and bloating. It's going to help, again, build up more adenosine. You're actually, now what's happening is your blood sugar has somewhere to go, because as you're walking, you're using stored glycogen, which means the blood sugar has somewhere to go. So the glycogen comes out, like gets burned off, like through activity. Your muscle uses up the stored glycogen, and now the stuff that's in your bloodstream goes, oh, hey, look, I have somewhere to go now, right? So now that's how you start reducing blood sugar that way. Right, it's going to help reduce gassing and bloating, like I talked about, and then thus reducing inflammation even more, because gassing and bloating is a stress response. It's indigestion. It's your body not digesting food properly, which is a stress. And so that's going to cause more inflammation, right? And so this is just going to directly reduce that even more. Walking is also the most fundamental human movement aside from breathing that you can possibly do. What other activity do you do in life more than walking? You're not going to find one. You're not going to find one, right? We have to walk everywhere, every day. And so like it's literally built into our body, our biology, our physiology. The way we are built is designed to walk more, to be more active. So like doing that, like I promise you, the body wants to move. It feels good to move. And we now also know for a fact, like there's so much scientific evidence to support this. Walking just 7,500 steps a day can reduce all-cause mortality risk by up to 60%, meaning your likelihood of dying from any sort of natural cause is reduced by 60% once we hit that 7,500 step mark. Like that is So huge. And if you look across all of the longest living countries and societies in the world, the one thing they all have in common, it's not cutting carbs, because if that were the case, then Japan would be fucked. Because Japan is a 60% carbohydrate diet society. Like their entire country is 60% or more carbohydrates. It's not like same with Italy, another long living country. Like there's so many long living countries that have carbs. So it's not the carbs. What is it? They all walk. They all move their body just consistently throughout the day. They walk a lot. That's the one commonality between all the longest living, healthiest societies on earth, is that they walk. So get outside, go for a walk. Next, caffeine. Caffeine basically works on your adrenal system. So when you take a cup of coffee, your adrenals go into overdrive. And basically, when you're waking up, your cortisol is already at its peak. And if you just have more caffeine, or you drink a bunch of energy drinks throughout the day, your cortisol goes up and it never comes back down. It just goes up and stays up. Having a cup of coffee in the morning is fine. It usually isn't enough to elicit any sort of negative response, but many don't stop at just one, along with the accumulation of everything else that tends to be just too much, forcing the body to need to recover, forcing this body into a chronically stressed state. So now there's this. So basically, what happens is you wake up, you drink like 2 or 3 cups of coffee, whatever, and then you have more cups of coffee, more caffeine, energy drinks, whatever. And now there's this mega dump of stress hormone that doesn't come down. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, have you ever had like a cry, really hard cry, or gone through something really stressful really quickly, and then you felt exhausted afterwards? That's what you're doing to your body. So, like, of course, if you overload the caffeine in the morning, you're going to have that enormous crash later in the day, because your system's so stressed for so long that it goes like, hold on, we need to recover. We can't keep going like this. So it forces the brain to start shutting down. So having like 1 cup of coffee in the morning is usually fine, because your stress response is already way up anyway. And then another cup of coffee will just kind of like maintain those levels. But if over the day, when you're supposed to have breakfast and then a snack and then like lunch or whatever, those are supposed to bring cortisol down. You're supposed to engage in walking and activity that bring cortisol levels down. And so it stays elevated because you never actually go out of your way to bring it down. You never slow down. You're constantly feeding more caffeine. And so what happens is cortisol just stays high. And that's actually what blunts your appetite. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're not hungry in the morning, a lot of the times you're just being your body's learned to run on cortisol. Your body is cortisol dependent now. You should have an appetite in the morning. If you don't have an appetite in the morning, that's a really big red flag that you're cortisol dependent, which is going to cause more again. Chronic levels of cortisol are going to cause more chronic levels of inflammation, which are going to cause chronic inflammation in the brain. And we don't want that. Brain damage, not good, right? So try to get control on your caffeine. Try to limit it as much as possible. I know some people are religious about their caffeine intake. So this one I always get the most amount of pushback, but it's also one of the ones that'll help you the most. So it's kind of one of those things. What do you value more? Do you value your coffee, the flavor of the energy drink, more than you value your health? If you say your health is more valuable to you, prove it. You don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell me that health is a priority. You need to show me health is a priority. And the two are vastly different things. Moving on. Blood pressure, also known as the silent killer. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in the world by far, and it's not even close. It can contribute to brain inflammation, migraines, headaches, lethargy, and of course, brain fog. Cardiovascular health, just in general, also makes blood flow more efficient. So your baseline inflammation goes down. If you have more efficient blood flow, then you have more efficient waste removal, right? The blood is the thing that goes through your body and takes a lot of the shit with it, right? And so if you have a more efficient heart and lungs, you're going to have a more efficient kind of cleaning system in the body. Fruits, veggies contain nutrients as well to maintain blood pressure. Walking, again, basically anything like dark leafy green is going to be phenomenal. Avocado, spinach, kale, all that sort of thing. Fruits and vegetables contain nutrients that maintain healthy blood pressure. And walking, again, I'm going to keep going back to walking, as well as just achieving a healthy body weight. I know there's a lot of push in the world right now where it's like healthy at every size, and that's just not true. There are healthy body fat ranges that human beings need to be in order to be considered healthy. And remember, healthy ranges are actually based off of a sick and dying person, like, right? Somebody who's like typically healthy ranges of like hormones, blood pressure, stuff like that are based off of people who are elderly and dying, sick and dying. And so we should probably make sure that our standards are a little higher than that. Right. And so achieving a healthy body weight is going to be a huge thing. I talk about this all the time. I've talked about how to calculate macros a million times, and I'm going to talk about it a million times more, right? So making sure we're getting to healthy body weight, making sure that we're walking lots, eating lots of fruits and vegetables. Fiber is phenomenal for blood pressure. And as well as cardiovascular health. Cardiovascular health, again, is going to be that thing that if your heart is more efficient at pumping blood, then blood pressure, by definition, will then come down to a healthy range. Moving on, other factors. So those are the 7 major factors that go into brain fog. Now let's talk about other ones. The first 2 are the ones I talk about a lot: sleep and stress management. The foundation of your body for to be healthy is sleep. If you are not sleeping properly, then every other system in your body is not functioning properly either. Stress management. This is huge. We live in a society where we're go, 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 and we never have an opportunity to sit down and actually reflect on the things that are going on in our life. It's just stress, 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 and we never have an opportunity to wind down. This is why some people also sleep poorly, is because they are just go, go, go from start to finish. They never actually take the time for themselves. They're not good at setting boundaries. They're not good at actually prioritizing their own health. And so what ends up happening is they go stress, stress, stress all day long. They crawl into bed and their brain doesn't shut up because now their brain is they're wide awake despite the fact that they're super tired. That's another big red flag showing that cortisol is running rampant in your body, because of the fact that when you're sleepy and should be asleep and recovering from your day, instead your brain is going a million miles an hour thinking about what happened, processing those experiences. And because we never set time aside throughout our day to actually process them ourselves. Dehydration, sodium, potassium, magnesium. These 3 are the critical electrolytes. Sodium, especially. 9 times out of 10, when I have a client going, man, I just have headaches and migraines all the time, I can be like, hey, just increase your sodium intake. Get a salt tablet, pop that in a drink it, and almost immediately, within 20 minutes, their headaches and migraines are gone. Because what ends up happening is your brain is your most important organ, right? And so if your brain dies, the whole body dies. But you can literally, your heart could stop and your brain could still be tricked into restarting your heart, right? That's literally what a defibrillator is. When you see somebody using a defibrillator, that's not actually them restarting their heart. It's actually sending a signal to their body to stop the heart, so the brain can go, no, that's incorrect, and then start the heart again. It's actually telling your body to stop the heart, right? So your brain is the most important organ in the body. And so your body's going to do everything possible to prioritize brain health. So what happens if you're dehydrated? If you're salt, because your body's kind of an asshole in the sense that your body doesn't actually absorb water, it absorbs electrolytes. Sodium in particular does a really good job at pulling water into cells. So what happens? You're dehydrated. So your brain goes, hey, we don't have enough water. I'm going to pull more water into me. Your brain goes, I'm going to hoard the body's water because you're not providing enough to the rest of the body, and I'm the most important in your body. So then what happens is your brain swells, and now things are pushing against each other, literally pushing against your skull, and it's not comfortable. So your brain swells up against your dural layer of the brain, and it causes pain, causes migraines and headaches. So what happens is when you up your sodium intake, up your potassium intake and magnesium, it reduces that because you're actually absorbing more water into your cells, and so your brain can relax and not hog all the water in the body and swell up like that. Being sedentary, like I said, adenosine requires physical activity to build up. So if you're being sedentary, if you're just kind of wake up, you sit on the couch, you scroll through social media, you scroll through Instagram, you scroll through TikTok or YouTube, and you don't really get up and do anything. And then you have a 9 to 5 job where you once again sit down and don't really do anything. You have a sedentary job. You're sitting there all day. You come home, you cook dinner, you sit and relax on the couch, and you go crawl into bed and you're not tired. Why? Because you didn't earn your rest. And so being sedentary is going to be the one thing that really helps kill overall good sleep. And so if you're not getting good sleep, if you're not building up that adenosine, that's a big red flag. That's going to be a big thing to cause more brain fog. Chronic neck and upper back tension and lack of spinal mobility, stability, and strength. So mobility is your joints' ability to move under control through space. Stability is the ability to resist unwanted movement, and strength is the ability to actually produce force through those muscles. If you're lacking the ability to move your head back and forth because you're so chronically tight in the upper back, well, then you're basically what's happening is everything's tightened up, right? And so it's blocking the pipeline. You have things that are causing tension that are clogging the blood vessels, right? And so just less oxygen is going to get to your brain. You're going to have more tension, headaches, more stuff like that. So get your neck moving. Make sure you're getting some exercise in, moving your head around as much as possible, and move your head around separately, right? So a lot of people, when I'm like, "Oh, move your head around," they're like, "They go like this." And I was like, no, because now you're actually moving your body with it, and now your head's actually not turning in space. So just move your head around a lot. Get massages, get a lacrosse ball, put that against a wall, shove your neck into it. Excellent tool to help release tension. And then obviously hormonal fluctuations, pregnancy, perimenopause, menopause, stuff like that. And that's going to cause some dysregulation in brain function and brain fog, especially women going through perimenopause and menopause, because your estrogen levels are dropping down, your progesterone levels are dropping down, both of which really help with brain fog as well. And so with those going down, you're just going to feel more lethargic. So it's even more important to take these things seriously when you're going through perimenopause and menopause. Pregnancy, obviously, these are things that this is also going to cause the same problems. Problem is that a lot of people, when they get pregnant, they think they need to stop working out, stop doing exercise, or they like give in to not great choices. And so what ends up happening is they eat more inflammatory foods. They're not walking as much. They're not exercising. They're not sleeping as well. And a lot of the times they're just not putting things in place to combat these effects. They're not putting systems and routines in place to make sure that they can actually continue going through and taking full advantage of what they can. And obviously a drop in testosterone for both men and women can cause brain fog as well, especially in men. You have men who are sedentary, low muscle mass, not very driven, not really doing a lot nutritionally. They're not taking their sleep seriously. They're going to get a lot of brain fog. They're going to get they're going to feel very drained in the morning, and they're going to feel like they can't actually do anything. They're like they wake up tired. Like keep that in mind. You just spent like 8 hours, quote unquote, 8 hours, should be 8 hours anyway. A lot of the times it's less and certainly not good quality, but now they're having all of the problems we've talked about already. But now they're waking up after their recharge, their sleep. They're waking up tired, and that's not normal. That's not supposed to happen. So it's even more important that we start taking this seriously. And this, what ends up happening is it's a negative chain of events. It's that domino, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I just don't feel like it, and not feeling like it. First off, letting your feelings and emotions dictate your actions is usually what got you in trouble in the first place. And if you keep living your life that way, there's a really good chance you're not going to get out of it. You're going to keep being stuck. I don't feel like it. I feel like I don't want to do this or whatever, and be like, cool, I don't feel like it. It's like, well, do it anyway. Your health is more than worth doing it anyway. And so it's one of those things where, like, when you wake up, make sure you're having a good breakfast so you can bring those cortisol levels down and actually feed your body good nutrients. Get up, move around, walk around, get sunlight, take your vitamin D, and just get moving. Drink water, stuff like that, first thing in the morning. And within the first 30 minutes, it should be like, within the first 30 minutes of waking, drink water, have a small breakfast, even if it's just like a protein shake and like Greek yogurt and an apple or something like that. Something small, something light. Get up, move around, building up that adenosine, and really start actually starting your day off on the right foot, engaging in the activities that will actually create the outcome of less brain fog and better brain health altogether. When we're creating our diet plan, when we're thinking about the foods we want to include in our diet, these are the top foods that help create a healthy brain, that directly support brain health. Red meat, salmon, eggs, oysters, extra virgin olive oil, nuts and seeds, dark leafy greens, and avocado. Those first few on that list are by far going to be huge in helping create just a healthy brain. Because remember, our brain is also the master and commander of the entire body. If our brain is not healthy, the rest of the body is not healthy either. So make your diet focused more on healthy brain foods: red meat, salmon, eggs, oysters, extra virgin olive oil, nuts and seeds, dark leafy greens, and avocado are going to be your biggest bang for your buck foods to help create a healthy brain and body. especially when it comes to hormones and brain fog, inflammation, stuff like that. Avocado oil is incredible. Potatoes as well. Potatoes are massively high in fiber, massively high in potassium. So are bananas. Blueberries, really any berries, but blueberries tend to be the highest concentration of antioxidants. Have you ever left like an avocado out on the table and it like went from perfect to disgusting like overnight in like 5 minutes? That's called oxidation. That's fat oxidation. Your brain is made out of fat, and so what happens is so think about it. The oxygen gets into the fat cells and begins to kind of rotten it, give it that dark kind of not great look, not ideal. Right. Well, that's happening to our brain over time, over decades and decades and decades. We're getting more exposed to more and more oxygen. So blueberries have a very high antioxidant count. And that's why when you have a high antioxidant diet, you actually your brain literally can start aging in reverse. You can have a brain, you could be 50 years old and have a brain that functions better than the modern 30-year-old, right? So like that's how powerful antioxidants are for your brain health. 90% dark chocolate, amazing magnesium, as well as a bunch of other stuff that's really good, like flavonoids that are really good for the brain as well. Turmeric, excellent anti-inflammatory, really good for men to make sure they have turmeric in their diet because it helps with testosterone production. Oranges, phenomenal. Broccoli, beets, lentils, peppers, all of those also great. Vitamin A is also pretty crucial for brain health. But yeah, so those top few are going to be the best. Extra virgin olive oil is made from polyunsaturated fats, which is actually the same type of fat that your brain is made out of. So really good. The omega-3 fatty acids found in the red meat, salmon, eggs, oysters, and then also avocados there's so much research showing how important those are for brain health. And they're actually now showing that those who neglect omega-3 consumption in their 20s and 30s are actually more than 4 times as likely to start developing those brain related diseases and illnesses like Alzheimer's, dementia, stuff like that. So huge to have in your diet. These are going to be top foods by far to have in your diet. Cool. Now it's time to implement. Most people just mindlessly consume content like this, but never actually implement. So nothing ever actually changes. They just end up winding up in this loop of acquire more knowledge, but then never actually taking action. And so they stay stuck. If you want to create change, you have to actually do the things, not just learn it, not just talk about it. You have to actually engage in the process. A lot of the times we acquire knowledge, we pat ourselves on the back. Cool, I'm so happy I learned that. Now my life is going to improve, but then they don't actually make the effort to change it. So pick 1 to 2 things that you're going to start implementing it, schedule it, write it down, set reminders, and make sure they're realistic to you and your situation, your schedule, so that you can stay consistent. Drop your commitments down in the comments below of this video. Like, what are you going to commit to from now on? 1 to 2, maybe 3 things. What are you going to commit to? And what's your action plan to actually start implementing these things? Drop them in the comments below so I can actually reach out and hold you accountable. Hey, how are these going? And then also, what were your biggest takeaways? And understand that knowledge does not equal power. Knowledge plus action equals power, because without action, there's no change. And if you're looking to lose weight and eliminate brain fog, restore your metabolism, restore internal hormonal harmony, comment below or DM me. I've opened up 5 spaces for a free strategy call, and I would love to see how I can help you. So go ahead and do that. Let me know how I can help. With that being said, I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. This is How to Eliminate Brain Fog. My name is Chris Hughes, and I'll see you next time.